Yes, in the Pesach. Okay, he doesn't mention that for any other Moedim. He doesn't mention circumcision for any. He doesn't mention it for Sukkot. He doesn't mention it for Shavuot. He doesn't mention it. He mentions it for Pesach. Okay, but does it automatically mean that a person who is attending should not be Israel not to be circumcised? Can Israel be not circumcised? I think that's my better question. Do they have no? They do. Why? Why do they have to be circumcised?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I lost my video. But you can't, if you're not circumcised, you're not a part of the covenant.
Yes, you're not part of Yahweh's covenant that he made with who? Abraham. And that's going to be found in Genesis chapter number 17. Okay. And in that covenant, he said, you must be. And anybody that you bought with money has to be. Okay. Anybody that was born in your house that's not even from your family, that's one of your servants, they have to be. Okay. When does a person supposed to be circumcised according to the Torah?
8 days old.
8 days. Okay. And there are some customs about our people that they wouldn't name the child until the day that they were circumcised. That's some of the customs that they have discovered that are going on right now in Africa, where they have the same circumcision and everything almost to the T that's in Wayikra. And they don't name their sons until they're circumcised on that in particular day. Okay. So that's very important. Circumcision is part of the covenant. It's a big, huge part of it. Yared, you had already warned me about the recording. Thank you. All right. So we got that. What are some of the things that you guys have came across during this last few days of reading your Torah portion? What are some of the things that kind of stood out to you before we get into our lesson? Anything that stuck out to you guys? There's a particular verse that stood out to me, okay, or a couple of them that stood out to me. I want to deal with the one that really hit home for me, okay, since we only have a little bit of time tonight. Let's get right to it. It's going to be found in the book of Wayikra, and it's going to be in chapter number 26, okay, and we're going to read down in, let's see here. I think we stopped in verse. Do you guys remember what verse we stopped in last time? I think we stopped in talking about you would lay down. And yes, we did. We stopped there. We started, I think we stopped at 6, where I talked about how the land, food security, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that on Shabbat. But right now, I got to try to get through these verses, okay? So in verse number 6, and we're going to vacillate between the Hebrew and the English. I love the Hebrew because when I look at it, I can really explain it to you what it is really saying. So verse 6 begins off with, I will give you shalom in the land. Okay. What I'm going to do, you shall lie down and none is going to make you afraid. Meaning not only you're going to have shalom for the outside of yourself, but you're also going to have shalom inwardly. Okay. What's important about this is that Yah really, his desire is to want to, if the land doesn't have any shalom, that means you and I are not going to have any shalom. Okay. That's why he attaches the shalom to the land. And he talks about how you're going to be able to lay in it. And nothing or no one's ever going to bring any disharmony to you. Okay. There won't be any, terror. There won't be any fear. And it's just a place of tranquility. It's a place of peace and harmony where things are really quiet and calm. And if you do hear anything, it's generally going to be celebration, and of course there's times where you hear where people are weeping and crying and mourning over someone who passed away. And then he also said, I'm going to rid the land, right, of the evil beasts, the Ra. He calls these beasts evil. They're evil not because they have horns and not because they wear a red cape. They're evil because, and I'm on this line right here, they're evil because evil is not what you and I think it is. Evil means that is something that's not They would say that it's bad, okay? And it brings sorrow, okay? So when he talks about these beasts being evil, what he's saying is that I got to get rid of the things that bring about the sorrow and the unhappiness and the misery, because what was going on in a lot of different communities is that Yahweh used the beast, the ra'ah, the kaya, the beast, to actually rob the people of their children, which we'll read later on when we get through this chapter. Yah has a certain purpose for these, okay? There's a purpose and there's an intention for the wild beasts. They're not just to look at, okay, and admire, but they're also used for Yah's purposes, okay? Also, too, because he's in charge of them. So the land, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of them in the land. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, what they call the sword, okay? If you notice, the sword is, and I'm going to kind of expand it a little bit for us to see a little bit better. The sword has a very particular meaning that why am I flipping over what's wrong with my tongue? It has a very particular meaning that you and I need to understand. Do you guys remember the name of the mountain in which Yahweh gave the Torah? What's the name of that mountain?
Sinai.
Yes. Okay. It's called Sinai. Okay. Okay. Mount Sinai, okay, is also called Mount what?
Reb.
Okay. They call it Horeb. Okay. But the true name of it is not Horeb. The true name is called Mount Korev. Okay. Korev is the same sound as this. The same. Mount Korev. It's right there. There's a ket, a resh, and a bet. Okay. Mount Sinai is a place of the sword. Okay. This is one of the reasons why Yahweh had given us the 10 words, which they call erroneously or without a lack of knowledge, they call it the 10 commandments. It's not, it's the 10 words, the 10 statements. Yah gave those words from a mountain that is called the sword. Okay. There is, and we might have to just, I'm not going to be able to go line by line, but we might just have to go straight to this in particular verse. There is a sword that is attached to those words. Okay. And if you read your Torah portion, you may have come across this in particular verse. I'm looking it up. I know it's either around 26, 20, 25 or 26. Let's see. First, food supply. Okay, it's verse number 23. So let's go right there right quick. So chapter number 26, verse number 23. So we can answer this about what Mount Sinai is and why Yah is going to use a sword. It's very important for us to understand. Where is it? 26, 23. It says this. Yah's talking about what he's going to do if they don't do what he says. Okay. Verse number 23 says, if. We already talked about if. It's in spite of all this. Okay. And what's he talking about? In spite of all what? If you read your Torah portion, it's going to be from verse number 14 all the way down, where you're going to get nothing but the curses and the bad things that are going to happen to you if you do certain things. Okay. So that's a big thing. If in spite of all this, you refuse my correction and still go against me, okay, then I too will go against you. And I, Yahweh was talking, will strike you 7 times over for your sins. Okay. Why the number 7? What do we know about 7? What does 7 represent? It's called Sheva. It's an actual oath. And an oath is literally saying, I promise you. Okay. So I'm not going to do 5.5 times. I'm not going to do 6. I'm not going to do 3 and stop. I'm going to do 7 times. So what we find in this particular chapter is every time they did something, he would strike them 7 times for what they've done. Okay. Then he said, and this is where they get this idea in the New Testament. Okay. That talks about how many times must I forgive my brother? And he says 7 times. This is where they're getting this from. And he said, no, 70 times 7, right? Something like that. And you have to go to him, and then if he doesn't accept you, then you bring somebody with you. Then if they don't accept you and him, then you go to the church. Isn't that what they told us in the New Testament? Right? Isn't that what they said?
Yes.
Isn't that the formula?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell me what's the formula if something happened in the community of Israel besides taking somebody with you and then taking them to the church. What did you supposed to do? Me and you get into it. What's our course of action according to the Torah?
Oh, according to the Torah, you're supposed to go to him.
Okay, that's the first thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then if you can't resolve it, then you take someone with you.
No, you would actually go to the elders of the community.
Okay.
Okay. And while the elders are there, they are supposed to resolve. So it's you and me. Then if you and I can't resolve it, you and I go the next step, the elders. After we leave the elders, do we go to the church or where do we go? You go to the Kohanim. So you can see even in the New Testament that they've taken this formula and they switched it out and said that you're going to bring one of the elders from the church, and you're not going to go to the Kohanim because they're trying to get rid of the priesthood. We're going to go, instead of the Kohanim, we're going to go to the church now. See that? You see? And also, too, they've empowered other people. So they said, instead of you going to the elders, you take somebody with you. Okay. And then you take this other person with you. So now it's 2 against 1, right? It doesn't work like that. You're supposed to go to a body of leaders in the community for them to talk about what does the Torah say. And if they can't come up and they got questions about a particular situation, they can't solve it, then you're going to go to the Kohanim, not the church. Moshe has done this and established this in chapter number 18 of the book of Exodus. Okay. So Exodus, which is really Shemot, it's in chapter number 18. You can read it on your own, where Moshe was sitting there all night and all day resolving issues between people. And his father-in-law came up to him and said, you can't keep doing this. You're going to wear yourself out. What you need to do is set up what? Elders and leaders over the people. Okay. And then you have your different orders. Okay. And then if they couldn't resolve it, then that's when they would go to the Kohanim. So that's just a little information for us to know what the church is trying to do. What they're trying to do is replace Yahweh's system. See? But back to our point. Yah says, if you do this, I will bring a sword. This word right here is called korev. Okay. The B on the end is really a V sound, korev. The same word for Mount Sinai, against you, which will execute vengeance of the covenant. So when I talk about you and I, I'm talking about our ancestors, and we know that we live through our ancestors. Okay. When our ancestors, our people, went to the mountain of Sinai, Mount Korev, when they received this covenant from Yahweh, it was attached to a sword. The sword is the punishment. That means you're going to be put to death. There is an execution of this. There has to be what he would say, vengeance. Okay, vengeance to avenge what? To avenge anybody or anything that goes against this covenant, because this covenant includes the 10 words, and the only people who ever heard those 10 words were who?
Moshe.
I'm going to help you out. When the children of Israel were at the Mount Sinai, they heard 10 words. And after they heard Yah speak these 10 words, they were so terrified that they told him, please have him stop. And then you go and you hear everything else that he's going to say. Because Yah only gave them 10 words. And the 10 words that he gave them, he wrote it on stones with his finger. He etched it and engraved it and put it inside what we would call the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. The 10 words also are known as what they call the Aduth. Okay. And sometimes you might hear it called the Adoth. But it's Aduth, and it has an ayin and a dalit and a tav on the end, Aduth. Okay. And this means witness. And sometimes you hear it's called the testimony of witness, meaning that those stones represent the witness that Yah had spoken to the children of Israel. And if they violate any of these 10 words, Yah says that that's the witness of testimony that I spoke to you. This is my covenant. The first word that I told you in the covenant was that I am Yahweh. That's the first thing I told you. Da'ani Yahweh Eloheinu. I'm the one who brought you out of the land of Mizraim where you were slaves. And he continues to say this over and over and over again. Point is this: the covenant is the words that Yahweh spoke to us. And if you and I go against that covenant and those words, then Yah says there is going to be vengeance, is going to be executed for this. Not the covenant that I made with your fathers, the one that I made with you in the land of Mizraim when I brought you out. So understand that this is a serious matter. This is why Moshe said that this is not a trivial matter for you. This is a matter of life. This is your life if you keep the words that I'm telling you. If you don't keep these words, there's vengeance, okay? And then he goes on to talk about what that's going to look like. I just wanted to bring that point out, okay? So in context, last week we read what? Bahar, on the mountain, on Mount Sinai. That's where he began telling these things, okay? So where we stopped on Yom Shalishi, the third day of the week, I talked about food security. Now, verse number 7 says, you will pursue your enemies and they will fall before your sword, okay? If we would do what Yah says. So if we do what he says, your enemies will fall. They're going to fall to your sword. That means not enemies within your land. That means enemies that are going to try to come against you, and I send you out to them, okay? 5 of you, and this is interesting, Kamish or Karamash, 5 of you is going to chase 100. How is that possible? How can 5 men chase 100 men? How can 100 men chase 10,000 and they all fall before your sword? Because your sword is connected to the covenant. Do you understand? Like, you and I are in a deal with him. Like, if we do what he says, I will bless you. I'm going to give you social rest and peace. I'm also going to give you food. I'm going to give you food security. I'm going to increase your numbers. Okay. Which brings us to the verse that I want us to look at. Verse number 9 says, I will turn towards you. In Hebrew, it says he turns his face towards us. Okay. And then he says, I'm going to make you productive. Then he says, I'm going to increase your numbers. Then he says, and uphold my covenant with you. Okay. Off the top, it just seems very straightforward. This productivity right here, okay, it means to be fruitful. And what he's talking about is for us to be able to have, I spelled that wrong, is to be able to have a lot of children. Okay. I'm going to increase your lands. I'm going to increase your food. When I increase your food, I have to increase your numbers. Okay. So just as many children that you have, you need to be able to feed them. But that was all about what I wanted to do with you in the first place. My whole reason for making a covenant with you is for me to turn my face towards you so you could be productive in your land and you also increase your numbers of your children. Because what we need to do, and I talk about we, Yah's talking to us as a we, you and I, us with him, okay? We have to work in cooperation together in order for these things to take place, okay? These things are not going to happen. Yah says, I will uphold, meaning make my covenant stand. What's the covenant? My covenant with you, okay, is to ensure that I'm going to be your Elohim. I'm going to be your power, okay? But let's read something to verify this. In the book of Genesis, which we call Bereshith, the beginning, look what the Creator says. Genesis, chapter number 1. And I want you to remember what we just read. He said that his goal was to make us fruitful. Okay, here it is. Yah has said, I believe in verse number 28. We should start in 27 just so we can know. So Elohim created humankind in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him. Male and female, he created them. That's humanity. Verse 28 says, Elohim blessed them. And he said to them, what? He told them to be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and rule it and take over and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and every living creature that crawls on the earth. And the question that the Malachim had asked is, what is man? What is man that you're so mindful of him? Okay. Why do you always think about him? What do you need him for? What do you need man for? Somebody tell me, why did Yah create humanity in your estimation?
To give him praise.
To give him praise, to give him honor, and also so he can make sure that he would give them the blessing. The blessing from Yahweh is being fruitful, and the blessing is multiplying. That's our Elohim. He wants us to understand why he's in our lives. He's in our life to bless us. He's in our life to turn his face toward us. He's in our life for us to increase our numbers in order to fulfill what he has promised. Do you remember what he told Abraham about his sons? What did he tell him? You guys remember? What did he tell Abraham? In chapter number 15.
Many nations.
Yeah, I'm gonna bless you. I'm gonna make you a nation, a great nation, right? But also too, I'm gonna bless you. Okay, I'm gonna bless you. That's in chapter number 15 of Genesis. Let's look at it right quick. Let's just take a peek. So we see that Yah's intention for humankind is to increase their numbers and to multiply. Okay. I think, yeah, it's in 15. And let's start right here. It says, sometime later, the word of Yahweh came to Avram in a vision. Don't be afraid, Avram. I'm your protector. Your reward will be very great. Avram replied, Yahweh, what good will your gifts be to me if I continue childless? Elazar from Damascus inherits my possessions, meaning that, remember, he was a nomad. So he was traveling from location to location, from country to country, land to land. We had a great amount of substance and wealth, and he had a lot of possessions. He had servants, he had slaves, he had all that. But he really didn't have what he really wanted, which was a son, okay, a child, okay? And this is prior to him having a child with Hagar. So he says, you haven't given me a child. What good is my life without a child? And I believe that's something for us to look at as well. What good is life if you don't have a child to pass it on to? What good is life if you don't have the opportunity to leave something behind, a different copy of you? What good would it be for us to live our lives and not be able to have the ability to teach and to be patient and to learn love and kindness? Yah has given us the gift of children in order for us to get an idea of what it would be like with being with him and being directed. So Abraham continued. He says, someone born in my house will be my heir. But Yahweh, the word of Yahweh came to him. This man will not be your heir. No, your heir will be a child from your own body. Whether or not he wanted to believe this or not, it was something that he had a hard time believing because he was old. Then he said, then he brought him outside. This is what Yahweh did. He brought him outside. He said, look up at the sky and count the stars. See? And this was in a what? It was in a vision. That's what it was. So when he told him, let's go outside, he took him outside. So initially in the vision, he met Abraham when he was in his tent in a vision. And in that vision, he takes him outside. He brought him outside in the vision and said, look up at the sky, count the stars. There's our word. If you can count them, you can't. That's what he's telling them. Your descendants will be that many. Now, when Abraham looked up at the stars, and in this vision, he saw the stars in the sky. Could you imagine the thought processes that he was going through or having when all he asked for was one child? When Yah told him it's going to be as many as the stars in the sky? That's a promise, and that's something that Yah had gave to him. And he promised him this, and Yah is about trying to keep his word. So I bring us here because I want us to understand that this is bigger than just, being a Hebrew Israelite. This is about our destiny. This is about being one of those stars, okay? And being a descendant that's attached to the stars. And I could show you that later. So he asked him, can you count them? He's like, there's a lot. He said he believed in Yahweh. Now here, the Hebrew I've already showed you that it said he believed. And the answer to that is no, he didn't. Yah caused him to believe. This was a cause, okay? It was a causative. Again, there's 7 different ways that a person can do an action, First, it could be active. The second way is passive, and that's on everything, okay? So the first way you could do it is a simple action. You can do the action, or the action can happen to you in a very simple way. The next one is a forceful way, okay? It's very forced and it's intense, okay? You can do this action yourself, actively you doing it, or someone else is being done to you by someone else, okay? Then the third is causative, okay? So this is the one I told you, the cause. Someone can cause, either you can cause the action or the action can be caused upon you by someone else, okay? Then the last one, so if you look at the first one, simple, that's 2 because you got active and passive. Then you got this one, forceful, that's active and passive. So right there, we have 4 so far, 4 different times. So here's 2 ways, 1, 2, forceful, 1, 2, causative, 1, 2. That's 6. The last one, the last way that something can happen is in a very reflexive way. Reflexive means that you're doing the action on oneself. You're dressing yourself. You're the one actively doing it, and you're passively doing it to yourself. So you're number 7. You're number 7, okay? That's something you do. So I mention all these different ways because when you study the text in the Hebrew, you'll find out how that action was done. In the English, not only do they get you with the wrong words in the wrong context and the wrong culture, but they don't even tell you how he believed. So the question would be, was it simple? Was this forceful? Did he force himself, or did something happened where someone else caused it. Okay. Yah caused him to believe in Yahweh. And he credited to him as righteousness. Okay. Yah says, now that you have been made and caused to believe what I said, I now have made you righteous. Let me ask you guys a question. Did Abraham change his name?
No.
No, he didn't. Who changed it?
The Most High. Yeah.
Yeah. Did Sarah change her name?
No.
Who changed it?
Yeah.
Yah changed it. Did Yaakov change his name?
No.
No. Who did it? Yah
No.
did. So listen, and the name changes. When your name is changed, when Yah does something, it always has to do with your destiny. It has to do with your end is going to be your future. Your future, you'll hear me continue to say this, is your fortune. And I ain't talking about being a fortune teller. I'm talking about being restored. Okay. So the whole idea behind being in a covenant with Yah has to do with the future, and it has to do with you being restored to your fortunes. Okay. Because ultimately, that is your destiny. You and I are destined for good things. And what's my favorite word? It's 2 letters. Aleph and a mem. And what does it mean? If. It's called M in Hebrew. M, not I'm, M. It means if. So it's open. You can or you cannot. Okay. So here's the thing. Yah is saying to us that I am in a covenant with you, and I'm going to make your descendants as the stars in the sky. Let me bring you somewhere else right quick. And I want you, and I'm going to give you a little something that you can leave with today, so you can make sure that anybody that comes to you and says something to you, that you can show them how special you are as Israel. Okay. It's found in Genesis chapter number 3. And this is when Yah has decided what he was going to do to humankind, doing to Adam for what he has done. Listen what he says. Verse number 8, they heard the voice of Yahweh, Elohim, walking in the garden at the time of the evening breeze. So the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim among the trees in the garden. Yahweh Elohim called to the man. Okay, Wayikra called out to him. He says, where are you? Where are you? Okay. He answered, I heard your voice in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself. And so we're going to go on what he told him to do and how the woman was deceived and so forth and so on. But I want you to look at what the Most High told the man. Okay, we're going to deal with the women. We're going to deal with the man. Yah told Adam this in verse number 17. He said to Adam, he said, because. And because means the heel of something. Okay, since you were the last person that heard everything, because the woman was spoken to by the serpent, the beast, and then you kind of fell on the heel of the situation. Okay, because that's what happened. You listened. You were on the tail end of it. You were on the heel of the situation. You listened to your wife. Okay, you obeyed her and said what your wife said, and ate from the tree in which I gave you an order. I think last week we talked about, I think it was last week when I told you guys that Yah is never, by what's written, made a borith. He never mentions making a covenant with Adam. What he gave Adam was a command. And a command he gave to all humanity. Okay. Israel came out of humanity. Yah says, out of humanity, I'm going to choose only one family. And that family is your family. Later on Shabbat, you'll find out what Yah thinks about everyone else. But at this moment, you know that you're the family that he loves. You're the family that he's chosen, right, out of all humanity to be his portion. okay, to be his first fruits. So then he says, you're not to eat from it. The ground is cursed on your account. Okay. I told you not to eat from it. And because of this, the ground is cursed on your account. You will work hard to eat from it as long as you live. It will produce Yovel, thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat field plants. You will eat bread from the sweat of your forehead until you return to the ground, for you were taken out of it. You are dust, and you will return to dust. Okay, so that's his punishment. What we find in our Torah portion this week, and earlier or from last week as well, is you find that Yah's not telling you and I as Israel that that you are gonna you go work hard to get food out of it. Yah did not tell us that the fields that we are going to have are going to produce thorns and thistles, okay, for you, and you will eat the field plants. He didn't say that to us, did he? What did he tell us?
We're going to have so much. And
You have so much. And guess what? He said he didn't tell us you go eat bread by the sweat of your brow, your forehead, until you return to the ground, did he? No. What he said is that you have enough food for 3 years after I'm done. That's what you have enough food every 7 years. You give the land its rest. You have enough food to feed you in the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th year until you get to the 9th year, because whatever you're going to plant in the 8th will be produced in the 9th, and you'll be able to eat that. He also says that your garneries are going to be full, your storehouses, and you have to get rid of the old, you see, to make room for the new. I want you to remember that. So, question for you. If this is what they call the curse of mankind, or what you would say more suitable to say humankind, if this is the curse of humankind, and they say that this is what Christ came to break, right? Remember, he died so everybody be set free from the curse. Remember, all the curses and everything was written against it was hung on the tree, and he did that for us, right? So if this is a curse of humankind, or one of the curses of humankind, why is it that Israel now is on the opposite end of the produce and not having the thorns and thistles, and not just eating field plants, but we eat fruits and vegetables, and we're not eating bread by the sweat of our brow? Why? Why is the ground cursed on our account? Huh?
No.
No. You see? So when you look at this from this perspective, from a Christian's perspective, and they tell you that Christ came to die to set us free, right? You got to ask the question, when Yah talked to Israel, this is how you know how special we are. Yah never told us the ground is cursed. Yah told us that the ground is blessed. But it's always what? Based on if. So what is Yah telling us? What is he telling us?
If we do what he
if
says.
we keep his commandments and statutes,
Then you and I won't be what?
cursed.
You won't be cursed. The ground won't be cursed. Nothing will be cursed. You'll be blessed. That is Yahweh's whole intention. His intention is to be our Elohim, what we read in verse number 9 of our Torah portion in 26. He said that I'm going to increase your numbers. I'm going to multiply you, and I'm going to uphold my covenant with you. So you and I are very special to Yah. We're very special to him. So he's not trying to put a curse on us. What he's trying to do is to give us a way out of the curse. That's why it's if. So if he's telling us what to do, instead of us holding on to, and I just want to make this clear, instead of us holding on to the idea that we're human, okay, listen to this. Instead of us holding on to the idea that I'm human, and I don't have, all I can do is sin, and Yah's angry at all the humanity. No, Yah's not angry at all humanity. No, he's not. Yah loves those who love him. You understand? Yah is giving Israel a way out from the curse. And what Yah wants to do is break the curse that's on the rest of the nations by Israel teaching them his Torah. The reason why there's problems in the world today is because of Israel, not that place over there, not the Ashkenazi. No, it's because of the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, bloodline from Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov that have not kept his word. But he's given us an out. We're getting it out so we can be the ones that he blessed. Did you guys see that? We're not cursed in that sense when we were in the land. It's based on what we'll do, right? So if we do what he says, you won't be cursed. So if you want to get out of the curse, and if you want to reverse the curse, okay, let's see what he says about that. In order to have the curses reversed, what does he tell us to do to get the curses reversed? Somebody tell me. What did Moses tell us in Deuteronomy chapter number 30? Do you remember what he said? Listen what he said. When the time arrives that all these things have come upon you, both the blessing and the curse, which I presented to you, and you are there among the nations to which Yahweh your Elohim has driven you. Then at last you will start thinking about what's happened to you. You will return. That means turn a direction to Yahweh and your Elohim and pay attention to what he has said, past tense, which will be exactly what I'm saying, ordering you to do today, you and your children, with all your heart and all your being. At that point, Yahweh will reverse your exile and show you mercy. He will return and gather you from all the peoples to which Yahweh your Elohim scattered you. If one of yours was scattered to the far end of the sky, Yahweh your Elohim will gather you even from there. He will go there and get you. Yahweh your Elohim will bring you back into the land your ancestors possessed, and you will possess it. He will make you prosper there in the land, and you will become even numerous than your ancestors. Do you see where he talks about the land? He talks about possession. He talks about gathering us, but the ultimate goal is so you can even become more numerous than your ancestors. You will exist and become even more numerous than your ancestors. When he brought them out of the land of Egypt and Moshe gave them this, he says, hey, here you guys are all standing before me today. You went in Egypt with 70 souls and you came out with millions. That's what Yah's goal is. That's why they hated us, is because of the increase of our numbers. That's why they killed the firstborn of our sons. All of our male sons were put to death because we were increasing at higher numbers. This is why they're doing everything they possibly can to put us in jail or kill us. You understand? To get rid of the numbers. Because as you remember what Pharaoh said, he says, if their numbers keep increasing, they might overrun us and overtake us. So we're like a virus. We just keep multiplying. Okay. Yahweh, your Elohim, will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your children so that you will love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and all your being. Thus you will live. When? In context, when Yahweh brings you back to the land. That's when your hearts are going to be circumcised by him, which goes to make reference to Jeremiah chapter number 31, where he says that I'm going to go ahead and give you a new heart. Ezekiel chapter number 36, I'm going to give you my spirit after I cleanse you from all your impurities and your uncleannesses. Okay. So Yahweh is going to do the circumcision of the heart. Okay. And he says the hearts of your children. So you will love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart. Why is this in all your being? And thus you will live. I open the Torah teaching tonight with Deuteronomy chapter number 6, verse number 4. It talks about loving Yahweh, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, U'ahavata, Yahweh Eloheka, V'levaveka, nefeshka, and of course, meodika, to live with Yahweh with all your heart, which is your mind, and all your being, which is all of you, your appetites that you have, your desires, okay? And so that's what he's going to do when he brings us back to the land. That is a promise, right? And so Yahweh, your Elohim, will put all these curses. He's going to take them off of you, and he's going to put them on your enemies, the Oyavekim, okay? The ones who come against you, and those who hated and persecuted you, okay? So when you're in the lands of your enemies, okay, so don't forget your enemies are the ones in the peoples, the lands that you're in, were scattered all over the world. These people are not your friends. They're going to get the curses, okay? He's going to put it on those who hated and persecuted you. The persecution here for this word means to pursue. They're chasing you all the time. Going back to our Torah portion, he says 5 of you will chase 100 and 100 of you would chase 10,000. Now he's reversed that. How is it? How did that happen? How did all of our brothers and sisters ended up being slaves and as strong and as muscular and fast and quick as we are? While all of a sudden now everybody dumbed down and became a coward, because Yahweh put a spirit of fear on us. And he's going to take that spirit of fear off of us, and he's going to put it on them. Okay. Then he says, you will return, but you're going to return and you're going to pay attention. You're going to shema to what Yahweh says. This is why I always tell you that I don't care what anybody else is talking about, because if the ultimate goal is for me to pay attention, it's always going to be about what did he say. Okay. And then obey all his mitzvot. So again, this is when you're back in the land, you're going to return from where? From the lands of your enemies. And you're going to go back and do this. And he's going to give you the right type of mindset. He's going to give us the circumcised hearts, the mind to say that, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to be this person. Okay. He says, which I'm giving you today. So the mitzvos have not changed. If they didn't change the day that he gave it to them, and he says that you're going to pay attention to what Yahweh says and obey all the mitzvot, which I'm giving you today, it's going to be exactly the same mitzvot that you and I are reading today that are going to be in the land. Then Yahweh, your Elohim, will give you more than enough in everything you set out to do. So you got to find this out again. Why is he using his word more? He's going to give it to you. Nathati, I'm going to give you more than enough in everything that you set out to do. I'm going to put it in your body. I told you I'm going to increase your numbers. I'm going to increase the fruit of your livestock. I'm going to increase the fruit of your land. I'm going to increase the fruit of everything, because the increase of that and giving you more than everything represents who I am. There's no way that I can be your Elohim and you're my people, and you claim that I'm your Elohim, but you're broke. You don't have no community. You have nothing. You understand? You're begging everybody for whatever you have to get, and you're enslaved. But yet you claim that I'm your Elohim. When I'm your Elohim, I'm going to give you more than enough in everything you set out to do. I'm not going to persecute you. I don't hate you. I love you. Okay. I'm going to put some fruit in your body. I'm going to put some fruit in your livestock's body. Okay. I'm going to put some fruit in your land, and it will all do well. For Yahweh will once again rejoice to see you do well. See, this is what the Christians don't want to tell us. Yah's ultimate goal is for you and I to rejoice. And rejoice in Hebrew is called simcha. Okay. Simcha means to shout, and shout with praises of joy. And you're shouting because of how everything is so well and so good and so tov, and everything is just multiplying before your eyes. There's going to be so many baby showers. You might even have a group baby shower. You ain't gonna go to somebody's place and go, so it's gonna be group baby showers. There's gonna be group circumcisions. There's gonna be group festivals. You understand? So now you see Yahweh saying, I'm gonna gather you guys to myself, and you and I, again, I'm gonna rejoice to see you do well. Once again, That's what I want for you. Just as he rejoiced in your ancestors, the ancestors that he rejoiced in, their names were Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's who he rejoiced in. I need you to hear what I'm telling you. We know that Yah rejoiced in them is because of what he gave them. When he said, I'm going to be your Elohim, I'm going to be your protector, I'm going to be your great reward. Your reward is great. Abraham was wealthy. Yitzchak was wealthy. Yaakov were wealthy. And you know what you and I and our ancestors did? Including us, we can't be detached. Don't try to separate yourself and say, I didn't do it. What we've done as a people is we've went and spent up everything that our ancestors ever worked for, and everything that Yah gave to them, he allowed other people to plunder it and take away from us because of our behavior. Okay? So Yah wants to rejoice in us just like he did our fathers. The reason why he's given us the covenant that he's given us in the one on Mount Sinai is to keep us in line and in check, because I'm going to let you live with me. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I want to rejoice in you like I did your ancestors that I just named. However, all this will happen only, and here's my favorite word. If what?
You pay attention.
To what? With Yahweh your Elohim.
Your God is saying.
So, okay, so listen to me. This will happen only if. That's that big word again. That's if you pay attention to what Yahweh says. So when you listen to the prophets, the first thing they're going to say is, Yahweh says, the word of Yahweh came unto me. Isn't that what he said? Isn't that what he said? He said, if a prophet speaks, he speaks in my name. You got to see if that's going to come to pass. You and I don't supposed to just listen to anybody. We're supposed to actually test it to see if it's from Yahweh. But for tonight's sake, only if you would pay attention to what Yahweh says. And what Yahweh has said in the voice of Yahweh is what? What's Yahweh's voice?
The Torah.
Thank you. Rhodes Scholar, Torah. It's instructions, not obstructions. Instructions, okay? Look, so that you obey his mitzvot, his kukim, because that's what regulations are, or mishpatim, which are written in this book of the Torah. You see, if you turn to Yahweh with all, and that word all again is call, and we know what call means, to be tamed. Tame your mind and all your being, your appetites. For this commandment, which I am giving you today, is not too hard for you. So the commandment in this sense of context that he's talking about, he says not beyond your reach. What he's saying is the commandment that I'm telling you is only if you pay attention to obey. That's what it is. You got to obey Yahweh's voice, and his voice is the Torah. So if you don't go and study the Torah, then Yah's not talking to you. If you notice everything that we read, it says you're going to pay attention to what Yahweh says. You're going to pay attention to what Yahweh says only if you would pay attention to what Yahweh says. And what does he say? He says, it's not out of your reach. It isn't in the sky. Okay, so you don't need JC to fly out of the sky for you. You don't need to ask who will go up into the sky and bring it for us and bring it to us. You don't need Elijah to come down and give it to you. You don't need anybody to help make you hear it so that you can obey it. You don't need anybody. Likewise, it isn't beyond the sea. So there's no missionary trips with John and Patmos and Paul and, Ephesus and Corinthians and all the different 7 places he went and all the ministries. You don't need that because there's no missionary journeys needed here. So that you need who will cross the sea for us and bring it to us to make us hear it. So we're going to talk about hearing, and we want to hear it. So that we can obey it. On the contrary, the word is very, very close. Not the word of John, or it says in the beginning was the word, and the word was God. No, this word is the word of the Torah. It's very close to you, in your mouth, even in your heart. Therefore, you can do it. And he's talking to the exiles when you are in the land of your enemies. Remember verse number 1, and these things have already happened to you. Well, did it happen to them? No, they went into the land of Israel. He's talking to the people that are exiled. Look, I'm presenting you today with, on one hand, life and good. That's what I'm going to give you, life and good. Life and good has to do with increase. It has to do with multiplicity, and it has to do with food, and it has to do with security. It has to do with land and all those other things. And then on the other hand, I'm going to give you this option. This is where the word if falls in place. So he says, in order that I'm ordering you today. So here it is, to love Yahweh. And you can't love him half-heartedly. You got to love him all the way. Okay. And it says to follow his ways and to obey his commandments, his mishpatim and his rulings, his kukai. For if you do, listen to this, you will live and increase your numbers. That's my point of study tonight. This is the whole purpose behind Yahweh being our Elohim, is to live and to increase our numbers. And Yahweh, your Elohim, will bless you in the land, in the land, in the land. That's where Yahweh's going to bless you. That's where his blessing is. I keep telling everybody, but nobody wants to listen. But if you come to class on Shabbat, I want to prove to you, finally, one last stroke of reading, that Yah is going to show that I'm not with you right now. I'm not blessing you right now because you're not in your land. You're not in your land. You're not in the place that I told you. Okay. So he's letting them know you guys are going to go, or in order for you to enter this land and take possession of it, in order for Yahweh to bless you, is connected to the land. The only thing you got to enter is the land. Where you're going to live is in the land. Where I'm going to increase you is in the land. Where the rulings and the statutes and the rulings attach you to the land. Because I told you, if you do it, if I will give you what? I'll give you the rain in its seasons. See? But he says, but if your heart turns away, your mind, and you say, I don't want to listen, I refuse, and you're drawn away to prostrate yourselves before other gods in the Christian church or the Muslims, and you serve them, I'm announcing you today that you will certainly perish, meaning you will die. You will not live long in the land that you're crossing in the yard to enter and possess. I call on heaven and earth, because those are the two witnesses. They're faithful against you today, that I have presented you with life and death. The reason why these are implored here is simply because the heavens give the rain, and it gives you the sunlight, and it gives you everything that you need, right? The clouds and all that. The earth is what gives you the produce. And so if you don't do what he says, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these things off. And I'm going to make all this stuff go away so you can't get it. That's what the beauty of the Torah is. The Torah is directly connected to the produce, and it's directly connected to the land because it's his land. And in our earlier study this week, it said that I will give you your rains. They're your rains. And those rains are different, because the rains that you and I have in these other lands that we're in right now are not our rains. They're their rains. And it's providing for them. And then they sell it to us and they give us whatever chaff they want to give to us. We don't get the best quality of nothing. You understand what I'm saying to you? Okay. So that's why he's calling on the heavens and the earth to witness against you that I presented you, that I have made a bona fide offer. I presented you with life and death. You have two options, the blessing and the curse. The blessing is the life, the death is the curse. The curse is that you will starve to death and you will die. Therefore, I desire for you to choose life so Yah can rejoice in you, so that you will live, and that you and your descendants, loving Yahweh, your Elohim, because you can't be in the land without loving him, paying attention to what he says, because you can't go in without it, clinging to him and not any other gods, for this is the purpose of your life. That's the only reason why you exist, is to pay attention to what Yahweh says, to love Yahweh and to cling to him. On this depends the length of time you will live in the land Yahweh swore to give to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, which are the ones that he rejoiced to do good with. That's our study tonight. Does this make sense? Doesn't it bring a little bit more understanding to what this is all about and the reason and the purpose for us keeping the Torah and getting back to what we need to understand about the relationship that Yah had with our fathers? You know, sometimes we focus on the relationship that he had with our ancestors who he brought out of Egypt, and it's not a really savory conversation. It's very difficult because you have to look at all the mistakes that they made. But this is the reason why he tells us the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, so we can attach ourselves to them. And if we are like them, we can ask Yah, you know, hey, when he doesn't mind us asking, when is our time up? The answer I keep getting is when I'm tired, when it's done, it's done. I'll choose the day. When the land is paid back as Shabbats, how's that? Right? When your iniquity is finished being paid, don't worry, you'll be out of there. You just got to do your time. If I said as far as X amount of years, that's what it's going to be. If it's more than that, if I determine it for it to be for the next 100 years, that's what it's going to be. We don't get to run him and control him and change what he says. All we're looking for is this. And if we're smart, okay, and what I mean by smart is being wise enough, you and I need to ask Yah for mercy. If we don't ever get to the place where we're needing his mercy, there's no reason for us to be in a relationship with him, because the only reason why we do have a relationship with him is so he can live out what his name means. I'm the merciful one. Because you and I don't deserve Yah. We don't. And that's the reason why we're not in our land today. That's because we despised him and we hated him. When I say we, I'm talking about me, you, and our ancestors. And I don't care about what anybody's talking about. He says that you and your ancestors have to admit that you went against me. You have to admit that's the reason I'm going against you. You may not believe I'm going against you because you let your oppressors trick you to make you think that me and you got another relationship and I'm another God who will provide a sacrifice so I can set you free from all your punishment that you did against me. But yet and still, I keep telling you that you're going to bear your consequences. But all of a sudden I sent somebody for you. So you got to make up your mind. Did I really set you free? Have you ever been released? No. You guys are hung on trees, right? So where was Christ? When he was raping your wife, where was Christ? Oh, that's right. He was in church on Sunday with you after you were crying after your wife was raped. And when they took your little daughter upstairs and they raped her for nights over in and used her up and impregnated her and they used him up, huh? Where was Christ? Where was he? Where is he now? That's the question. I know Christians are offended by what I'm saying. Where is he? It's coming. It's soon. The mark of the beast. Where is it? Where is it? Where's any of the promises that were ever made to Israel by this guy? Has anybody ever seen any of the miracles? I mean, I'm just asking. Where's the faith at? Where's the faith of a mustard seed? Where's the eating of the 5,000 for bread? Why are people starving? You got all these Christians out here. Can't nobody perform a miracle? Why is there so many sick people and dying from COVID? Where's Christ? I'm just asking. Where's this God that our ancestors loved and cried at his feet and begged him to allow them to continue to do the sin that they've been doing? Where is he? Where was he at Tops Market when the white supremacists went in there and shot these people dead? And the woman was down, he blew and shot her in the back of the head as she was laying down on the ground. I saw the tape. Where was he? And all those followers, by the way, bless their little souls, were doing really well in church. A lot of them were really actively involved in church services. Is that the love of the God of the New Testament? Where is he? Is this the same Christ that the Hispanic community Uvalde, who just got all their kids blown away by another Christian? Where is he? Am I off? Just tell me, am I wrong what I'm saying? Where's that God? Huh? The one who authorizes to eat the filth of the earth. Well, we didn't have a choice. You're right, she didn't have a choice, but now you do. Where is he? I don't understand. As talented and as strong as our people are, why are we the lowest on the totem pole? No matter how many professional athletes we have, we still can't pull ourselves out of nothing. Where is the God of the New Testament? That's my question. I would ask like Elijah had asked. He said, where is he? Where's your God that you've been crying for hours? Where is he? Did he take a trip? Did he go sit on a potty? What's happening? Do you need to, call him? What's going on? We're just paying our dues, our punishment right now. That's all, you guys. And it'll be over. And it has to come to an end. I'm not a what they call a prognosticator, which tells you, oh yeah, it's going to be over this year. I'm not going to tell you that. But what I am going to tell you is this: when our people cry out to Yahweh in a way that they have never cried out before, Yahweh will hear us. He will, because he always does. The Psalm says that Yahweh will not forsake his people. He will not. We just got to pay our punishment, because he's going to keep his word. To the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, I got to pay them. Okay. Any questions? I've held you long enough.
Now, when you talked about being fruitful,
Yeah.
are we going to still have to suffer labor pains?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. But I think you'll be able to take it a little bit better, simply because he says when you get there and you eat, your bodies are going to flourish. So we're going to have a different consistency in our bodies. He talks about us being a people that are set apart to him. So we're not going to have all these diseases, the diseases and diabetes and all the kind of stuff that we suffer from. We're not going to have any of that, because it's basically in the food. It's no miracle. It's just the food. The food is holy because it's from the land that he's going to be in. The water is going to be pure. It says that the water is going to be pure. He's going to change the salty waters into fresh waters, kind of like the incident where Israel came out of Mizraim. They went to a body of water and it was bitter. And Yahweh told Moshe to put a stick in it, and it turned from bitter to a water that was drinkable. Yah can do that for us. Yah can heal us of our diseases. He says, if you don't do what I'm saying, I'm going to put these diseases on you. Once we come out of this, he's going to take those diseases off of us. And the curses are coming off. So that's what it's going to be. And we're going to be able to present ourselves and go to him and be a Kadosh people. So, yeah, you're still going to get that. But it might be a little different, I don't know. I'm not a woman, but I know one thing. I know that we're going to die. And I know that he says, when someone dies at 100, he'd be thought as being young. The days of my people will be the days of a tree. So we're going to get our lives extended. Our health is going to be extended based on the actual environment that we live in. So we're going to have the best of the best. We're going to have the best food. We're going to have the best water. Our crops, as he said, are going to be famous. I'm going to make you famous. Okay. So it's going to be different. And everybody wants going to take a hold of us and say, take us, and we're going to be farmers. We're going back to that. We're not going to be doing what we're doing today. And of course, agriculture is going to be there. We're going to have sheep. We're going to have oxen. We're going back to that type of lifestyle. Okay. But also too, within there, you have your community, you have your leadership, you're going to have your women's groups, you have your men's groups, you're going to have your warriors, you're going to have it all. We're Yah's kingdom. We're his people. So all that's part of it. Our health will be superb, but yet and still, death is still part of it. Death is still going to be part of the equation. And that's okay, because you're going to be recycled. Everything gets old and then it goes away. So we're not going to break the order. of Yah. We're going to stay within it. You know, that's what we're going to do. Just like a tree. It grows, puts off, and other plants come up, and then they grow and they put off their seeds, and it just continues to go, go, and go, and go. Yes, Sakoti Pam.
Yes, earlier you mentioned something about the signs of the covenant, and on Shabbat you mentioned that Yah always gives a sign for the covenant. However, there was none given Adam. Why was that? Why was no sign given him, Adam?
Simply because, and some people say, well, his sign was the commandment. That's not true. It's simply because he's a representative of all humankind. Out of that group, Yah decided to pull what he wanted, which was Israel, out of humanity. He said, when I've numbered out the nations, I separated them according to the number of Israel. So Israel was Yah's intention. That's his portion. He said, all humanity, like when Yah, that's why he asked for the first fruits of everything that comes out of the earth. So whatever comes out of humanity, Yah says, I'm going to pick the one that I want. And he chose our family, right? I don't have the answer to why he would not give him a sign. I know this, that he never received a sign from Yah. Every covenant that Yah has ever made has been given with a sign. It has always been a sign that's been attached to it. Every time Yah has said something, he guarantees it. I mean, even think about Pinchas when he killed that man. He said, oh, great, wonderful. Now, guess what? He told him, you're always going to have a son. You're going to always have a descendant to be a priest before me. Yah does that. That's the sign, that you always have somebody. And that's the testimony. Oh, you see a rainbow in the sky? Oh, that's the sign. I made a covenant. You see that? That's to remind you about the covenant I made. Oh, that's the sign. Well, when I did the covenant with Abraham, I gave him a sign, circumcision. But I gave that circumcision to him after he and I cut a covenant with the cow and the other animals that I told him to split in half, which means let happen to you or them, whoever party is, that just happened to these animals if it's broken. But if you notice, Abraham did not walk between those two pieces. Yah himself walked through it on his own, and he put Abraham to sleep. And so Yah didn't swear that covenant based on any contingencies with him. It's based on Yahweh's word, what Yahweh promised him. See, in a covenant agreement, both parties have to do something. So depending on what the covenant is. So the covenant that Yah has made with our ancestors who came out of Egypt, he says, okay, I want to kill an animal too, right? And I'm going to give you the sign, right? And your sign is the Shabbat, that I'm your Elohim. Your fathers don't know me as Yahweh. I don't know them like that. They know me as El Shaddai. They don't know me as Yahweh. They don't know me like this. I don't have to come and deliver them and rescue them and destroy a whole entire nation. I didn't do that for them. We had a different relationship, different covenant. Okay. The relationship I have with you is different than what I have with Noah. It's different. Okay. So I'm letting you know that you're special to me. I actually spoke to you face to face. I didn't come to you in a vision, and I didn't come to you in a dream. I spoke to you. You heard my voice. That's different. You see, from a mountain burning with fire. Okay. All these other areas of our fathers having these encounters with Yah, who knows? Was it a vision that, like we saw in 15, where there was a vision, and he was in a vision with Yah, and it didn't say that sometimes it said he saw Yah. You know, what did he see? Doesn't tell us. It says he just saw the appearance of Yah. Yah appeared unto him. It was, what was it? The glory of Yah? What was it? Doesn't say. But what we do know is that Yahweh had appeared to Israel in fire on the mountain, and he spoke directly to them with his words. Okay. So again, that's another wonder. And what did he show them? That he's their Elohim? He did a whole bunch of signs. I opened up the Red Sea for you. I opened up the Jordan River for you. I've done some things for you to represent that you and I'm your Elohim. Okay. The relationship between him and Adam is just Yah's giving us a picture of what his relationship is with all humanity, except for Israel. Israel is different. Israel is a special people to Yahweh, because he said, out of all nations, you're the only people that I know, and you're the only one that I love. I don't love anyone else. I love you. And that's what's making every other nation angry and upset, because God, they want this so bad that they're creating their own selves like they know him. They're saying that he said this and they never, you know what I mean? They got their whole thing twisted because they know what this is. So if they can change the game, they can change what's being said, and they can destroy the evidence, which is us, then it's as if we never existed. They thought you and I were going to stay asleep and everything was going to go on. I mean, what's the guy who did this? What's the name of that book? Where it talked about how if you do this to them, the Willie Lynch letters, if you do this to them, they will never, probably 300 to 400 years before anybody would ever know what happened. If you do this to them. So everyone has always been against us. They've been trying to destroy us as a people for centuries, thousands of years. They've been trying to destroy us. And they've been trying to blot out our name to get rid of us. And then if they get us to believe something different, then we would never call on Yahweh's name. But they didn't have the clue about what Yahweh said. Yah has said, when Moshe told us that he's just going to come in your mind, in the land of your enemies, you go start thinking. So they weren't counting on that. They were counting on keeping us entertained and keeping us playing basketball and keeping us, in singing and stuff and dancing. That's what they thought. And keep going to church, okay, and keep paying your tithes. But all of a sudden now, out of nowhere, everybody online on Zoom right now, all of a sudden you woke up and been like, wait a minute, something don't make no sense. This is just doesn't seem right. Something's missing. And we knew it for a while, but we kind of denied and kept going to church trying to make it work. And then we just kept sitting there after Sunday and saying these people's lives are not getting any better. It's more adultery in here than I've ever seen anywhere else in my life, and more theft and arguing and fighting I've ever seen. So this is very, it's a lot of hypocrisy. There was no sincerity there. See? So Yah has done this. This is Yah's mercy that he's coming and he visits us to say, hey, you're the people. I'm going to give you an opportunity to make up your mind, see if you will do it.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I don't know why. That's my answer. I really don't. He never made a covenant with him. There's nowhere in any part of the text in Genesis or anywhere else in the prophets where he mentions anything about having a covenant with Adam. That is a doctrine that's been taught by Europeans. You ask him, show me the Berith. I can show you Berith to Noah. I can show you a covenant with him. I can show you a covenant with Abraham. I can show you a covenant with Yitzchak. I can show you a covenant with Yaakov. I can show you a covenant with the 12 tribes of Israel. I can show you a covenant with Levi. I can show you a covenant with David. I can't show you any other covenants. There's no other covenants that he's ever made. Any questions? Or I'll let you guys go. All right, then. All
I
right.
have some, but I can't even put it into words.
Go ahead. Try. What's
I'm just trying to get my thoughts around, like